Let me tell you what the common ground deal does. First off, the abortion industry in this country has always known that they do not have to have the perception in the public that their position is morally superior to ours or even morally equivalent, but just that it has some moral justification. And when you sit down with them and say, okay, I'm going to rationally discuss this with you, what you're saying is your position has moral justification for it.
Right.
And so it's a public relations thing for the pro-aborts to gain stature, and they suck us into it in order to do that. And we can't sit down with these people and look for and look for common ground without giving that impression to the public that we think their position at least has some moral validity, which it does not.
You're right, because you sit down with them, you're giving them credibility.
Right.
I remember years ago in the early 90s when we did the Spring of Life in Buffalo, New York. That was a demonstration where we literally sat down and risked arrest for 2 weeks. And I remember the Council of Churches came and talked to me and Reverend Paul Schenck, and they were saying, Pastor Hunter, we would like, rather than y'all do this activity you're getting ready to do for 2 weeks, and we'd like to dialogue for 2 weeks. Why don't y'all put a hold and let's dialogue. I said, I'd be glad to dialogue 2 weeks. Guarantee, let's have abortion clinics shut down while we're talking. And they were going, oh, no, that's not it. I said, come on then, man.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we dialogued with the Japanese prior to World War II. Their emissaries were in Washington on the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed. Right. We dialogued with the Japanese to avoid the war. But the minute the first bomb hit Pearl Harbor, the dialogue was over. And we didn't dialogue again with them until after the war.
Yes. And the other thing this does is it allows them, as Johnny said, to come in and co-opt some of our language, co-opt some of our legislation, and trick people into thinking that they're actually pro-life.
Which is actually what they're doing right now.
I saw Planned Parenthood release statements in the last couple of months saying what they're doing is actually pro-life.
Right.
Can you imagine Planned Parenthood saying they're pro-life? Right. Peter Brownlee, the director of Kansas and Mid-Missouri Planned Parenthood, is saying that what they're doing is pro-life. Don't be fooled by these people. They're trying to steal our language, steal our rhetoric, and say what they're doing.
Because they know it's winning.
It's obviously winning. They're down 9 points in the polls.
And when you sit down with them under these circumstances, I want everybody to notice, because what you're basically doing is surrendering. Because if somebody called here today, let's say the local media or the pro-abort group called here today and said, we want to put on this function, this common ground thing, we want life dynamics to be there. Now, here's what we've all agreed to, and this is standard rhetoric. Here's what we've all agreed to, that since we can't agree on the issue of whether abortion should be legal or not, we're not even going to talk about whether abortion should be legal. We're just going to assume that it's legal, and now let's look for a way to deal with this elusive need for abortion. If you're looking for common ground, wouldn't it be equally as valid to say, okay, we're all going to sit around this table and agree that abortion should be illegal, and now we're going to look for a way to reduce the need for abortion? Wouldn't that be just as...
They won't do that. It
because
should be
the
legal,
pro-aborts...
we should pay for it.
Right. The pro-aborts aren't as stupid as we are. They will not agree to discuss abortion on our terms. We have to agree to discuss abortion on their terms. So we concede to them the legality end of it. Well, listen, the core of this movement is about returning legal protection to the unborn. And if we move away from that, then we've lost. We've surrendered to these people. And when you look at the fact, they're saying we got to reduce the need for abortion. If we sit down with someone and say we're going to help you look for a way to reduce the need for abortion, then we're agreeing that there's a need, right? Because you don't sit down with people to look for a need for something you don't think exists, right?
And that's Obama's rhetoric today. He wants to reduce the need for abortion, but he's not saying, listen to what he's not saying. He's not saying, I want to reduce the number of abortions.
Or even if they say the number. Our job is, it's like Johnny was saying, we're not looking for a way to reduce the needs for lynchings. You know, by the abortion industry's own figures, virtually every abortion done in this country is done on a perfectly healthy woman, a perfectly healthy baby, for non-medical reasons. There's no need.
Paid for with our tax dollars.
They abort for want rather than need.
It's all elective.
And what if you said to these people...
I think this is something that's going to split the pro-life movement, though, too. We have to be very careful, because there is a side of the pro-life movement that agrees that they think you should be able to sit down with the pro-aborts and say, if you're truly, for women's rights and helping women, that you need to help us then provide certain services to women, especially on the college campuses. Feminists for Life of America does this, where they go out, they do these panels, they bring together different people of the administration, say, how can we help women who choose life on campus? And the goal, the ultimate goal, is to end abortion by making it available on campus to have a child and women think. So I think this is
already outnumber abortion clinics 4 to 1.
Right.
So
We
there's
don't
your
need
answer.
to do this. This is surrender. This is all this is. This is, please don't hurt us.
If you have a point, let's talk about it. And they don't have a point.
They don't have a point. We cannot sit down with these people without ascribing moral.
I just think this could be a split in the movement. We already have a split right now for graphic images and against graphic images.
But you know what? It's like people say, well, rhetoric like this, like you say, it creates a split and it creates disunity.
There already is.
Lemmings are unified right as they go over the cliff, right? They've got perfect unity. They all run off the cliff together. Our goal here is not unity. Our goal here is to stop the killing. Right. And if somebody in the pro-life movement is doing something that's counterproductive to that, I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying if they are, I don't want to be unified with them. We're here to return legal protection to every unborn child, period, end of story.
And providing leadership to the pro-life movement is telling them exactly what needs to be said, even if they don't want to hear it. And I'm sorry, sitting down with pro-aborts is never productive.
No. And because it gives them moral equivalency. Yes. And, you know, it's not politically correct in these days to say we are morally superior to them. But you know what the fact is? We are morally superior to them. I don't care who likes that or who doesn't like it. Right. That's a fact. And you know, it's like saying we ought to have a national association for rapists, and we're all going to get together with them. Since, hey, the law hasn't stopped rape, right? Women still get raped.
How can we
So let's reduce the need for rape, right? Would we do that? No. And if we did, we would be giving moral equivalency to the person that we sat down with, as if to say, yeah, your position has merit. So let's talk about it.
So you're saying rapists belong in jail and abortionists do too?
Absolutely, right beside them. Right, put them in the same jails. But anyway, I think pro-lifers, as we enter this phase now, where even the pro-aborts are readily admitting that we're winning. They're putting it in their newsletters. Right. They're readily admitting that we're winning. And them coming to us looking for this common ground is an admission that we're winning.
Terms for surrender are stop killing babies.
Right. Yes. Right. Well,
that's it.
Close your places down. We'll talk.
I'll just use the Pearl Harbor example again.
Right.
We negotiated with the Japanese until the bombs dropped at Pearl Harbor. The negotiation ended right then until we accepted their surrender at the end of the war. And there was nothing less than total surrender that was acceptable. Not we're going to sit down with you and look for the need to reduce the need for dropping bombs on Pearl Harbor. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, how about the need for taking fewer Jews to the camps? It's all the same deal.
It's the same deal. We're going to look for the ways to reduce the need for executing the Jews at Auschwitz.
When Normans used to really fight wars years ago, they went to defeat the enemy and get unconditional surrender.
That's the only way you deal with it. And you don't get that by sitting down with them and giving moral equivalency to their position. You don't do it.